All right, I am back home in Florida after a long road trip in Virginia where I found the cheapest BMW E46 competition available. I found it at a dealership called Elite Motors. I contacted them, I got a one-way flight. They were super accommodating. They sent their guy Keith to come pick me up. He brought me back to their dealership where I met all their staff members. Everybody was super accommodating, super nice. The car was out front, clean, full of gas. They had the paperwork all ready. It was actually one of the best experiences I've had buying a car. The owner, Savas, he even showed me around his race cars. He showed me the shop. We even took his personal car, the 911 GT3 RS, out on the road where, of course, we followed all the rules of the road. Liar! It has been a dream of mine to own every generation of BMW M3, including this one here, the competition. We'll get into the differences of the competition versus the regular M3, but first let's check out the interior. We'll see what's going to need addressed. We're then going to put it on the lift and we're going to do an underbody inspection. I haven't actually done that yet, so you're going to go along with me. We're going to see what actually it needs. Hopefully it won't need much, but there is some really common issues with these that can actually be devastating, so hopefully those are okay. But let's start with the interior. We'll start with the drive. Driving from Virginia, I think it was a 14-hour drive. The only thing I really noticed was when I apply the brakes really hard, I get a pulsation, so I'm probably going to need to replace the front rotors. The interior has this Alcantara wrapped steering wheel, which was only for the competition. It also has a single button here, which we can get into later, but that's the race mode. This steering wheel is a little worn. I'm going to get it replaced, which I'm going to have to anyways. They've got these aftermarket paddles here because it's an SMG car. SMG, I hate SMG, okay? Let's just get it out of the way. This is going to be a 6-speed manual swap coming real soon, so make sure you stick around because I will post a video on that. I can appreciate the technology of SMG, but there's nothing better than driving a manual transmission car. The rear view mirror is an auto-dimming mirror, and it's got this liquid in there, and it has completely failed. You can see the mirror just kind of sagging here, so it's going to need a new rear view mirror. The A-pillars are sagging, which is really common for all E46 cars. So I'm going to get all new A-pillars. We'll probably just end up doing the whole headliner. It's got an aftermarket navigation. I'm going to probably update that with something with newer technology. The interior trim is really nice, also a feature of the competition. However, I'm going to have to get this fixed right here. These buttons for the garage door opener are very loose. You'll notice there's no sunroof buttons up here because it has no sunroof. It's a slick top, which I absolutely love. The driver's seat has a little wear on the bolster, and actually for 130,000 miles, that's not too bad. Usually they're all ripped up. Let's do a quick walk around on the exterior and then we'll look under the hood. First, let's talk about the color of this car. This is Interlagos Blue, which you could only get in the competition package for the BMW M3. Now, the competition package, I think they only had 2,400 competitions made, but of those, only 850 were the Interlagos Blue. This color is stunning in the light, bright, bright blue. In the shadows and at night, it looks like a deep sea blue, like a dark blue, and then at certain areas, it almost looks purple. This is just such a gorgeous color. The paint is in really good shape. It does need some minor paint correction, and there's a couple of rust spots that I noticed right behind the front wheels, right here, and then one on the back corner where it meets the bumper. Luckily, I have a great body shop guy that can take care of that for me. It was a northern car, lived most of its life, I think, in Connecticut, Massachusetts area. Let's talk about the wheels. Out of all four of the wheels, this is the only one that has some minor curb rash. Just a couple little spots right there, really not that bad. The brakes, like we talked about earlier, is definitely going to need to be replaced. This is something else with the competition package. You notice they are cross-drilled rotors. The rotors are slightly bigger than the regular M3, but it uses the same M3 calipers. In the trunk, it's pretty uneventful. There's not a lot to see back here, but it is super clean. I checked the body seams, no damage there. Right here is your tool kit. Let's see if we've got everything. Good, we've got all of our tools there. And under here, normally you would see a spare tire. The M3, however, doesn't give you a spare tire. They do give you a can of Fix-A-Flat. And they also give you a compressor with a gauge on it, so if you have a low tire, you can just plug it in your cigarette lighter, pump up your tires, and you got your tow hook cover back there. Everything looks pretty good here. Let's move under the hood. So immediately I can see that there's a clip that's missing here. I mean, not a big deal. You know, I can put a clip in there. I just don't know why it's missing. Belts look like they're cracking a little bit, so I'll have to get new belts. The valve cover gasket is leaking. It's a little weird. And the reason it's weird is because on this engine, the valves get adjusted every 30,000 miles. And when you adjust the valves every 30,000 miles, you have to pull the valve cover off. And when you pull the valve cover off, it's just normal to put a new valve cover gasket on. So that's why you never really see them leaking because they get changed every 30,000 miles. So the fact that that is leaking tells me I'm going to be doing a valve adjustment in the near future. Other than that, I think the car looks like it's in pretty good shape. I don't really see any other issues. It did get an oil change from Elite Motors before they sold it to me. They did the 10W60. However, it's just common practice for me. Anytime I buy a brand new car, I always do all new fluids, really just to get a baseline started, and I know for a fact that it's got the right oil and filter and all of that stuff. So that's something I'll definitely be doing. That's probably one of the first things I'll do, actually. So let's get it on the lift and see underneath the car. Hood struts are a little weak. You can see it starts to fall, which is exactly what I was talking about in my last video. This is why I use these clamps. I mean, it looks like if I hold it, it'll probably stay up for now, but eventually it'll want to come down. The biggest concern that people have with the E46 M3 is the rear subframe. They bolt to the body, that cracks the body. It's a really big issue. We'll check that out in just a second. We're gonna start here in the front, starting with the struts. It's got Coney struts with lowering springs. Looks like they've been on there for quite some time and a little rusty. We're gonna go ahead and get a full suspension replaced soon. That'll be in an upcoming video. By the way, we've got an update on the 335 diesel. That was the video before this. We've got a lot of really cool BMW content coming up, so make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. We already know the brakes are going to need to be replaced, so we don't need to address that. After I got the engine panel removed, I did an inspection, and I can see that the AC compressor is leaking Freon. There's some green dye there. Also, the power steering has a slight leak. It's not major, but it's enough to make me want to replace it. Other than that, everything looks pretty decent, so let's go ahead and move to the back. Walking to the back of the car, I noticed the exhaust is actually rubbing on the cross brace, which makes sense because while I was idling outside, I did notice a vibration and like a rattling noise every now and then. So that's definitely gonna need to be addressed. So this rear cross brace has some rust on it. And if it was surface rust, no big deal. However, this looks a lot deeper than that. So I'm gonna get a new cross brace to fix that issue. It also has Coney shocks on the back, and it looks like they upgraded the lower control arms to the Turner Motorsports adjustable control arms, which I'm actually pretty happy about because with that, you can make some really nice adjustments for a perfect alignment. The rear brakes are about 50%, so they're okay for right now. All right, now for the subframe mounts. There are 4 mounts. The whole rear suspension, differential, everything is mounted through the rear subframe, and then the subframe gets bolted to the body. Over time, you get a lot of torquing, start ripping the body, you'll get cracks in the body. It's more prone for the earlier M3s like 01, 02. This is an 05. Chances are it's not an issue. And from what I can see, I don't see any cracking, which is a good sign. However, just for peace of mind, I am going to be doing a subframe reinforcement. Again, we'll do a video on that as well. Overall, I think I got a great deal for the price. Make sure you like this video. It really helps me out in the YouTube algorithm. More videos coming soon. Thanks.